All right, what up, what up, what up, what up? You already know what to do. It's your boy B Phil, and it's time to learn something new. So we're gonna take it all the way back to the beginning and get back to the fundamentals because it's always great to get back to the fundamentals and do those really, really well over and over and over again until you come up with something great. So what are we gonna talk about today? We're gonna be talking about the core four of using LLMs, and that is, drum roll please, context, model, prompt, and tools. So the core four, what is context? You can think of context like a window. So here we have this large window, and how it works with a lot of these tools you're going to be using, such as Claude, is I'm going to show you here what this looks like. By the way, other providers, I haven't tried open code. Everyone's talking about it. It's the hype thing right now. Everyone loves it, but I think Claude Code shows you this in the best way thus far. So you can do /context, and what it's going to show you is the estimated usage by category. So you already have something inside of this context when you boot up Claude Code, which is a system prompt. Then you have some tools. Then you have some custom agents. If you created these, you have skills. And then, of course, you have your messages. And it's also interesting that Claude does this auto compact. All of the models have this compact, or all of the harnesses, or like Claude, Gemini, Droid, they have this compact feature where when you get to this point right here, we have a certain amount of tokens inside of the context. It goes ahead and it tries to summarize things, and then you can continue working with a clean context. And so that's just basically what it is. It's this window that you have to effectively do stuff. Now, there's been a lot of research behind optimal sizing and all these different things. We're going to leave that up to you to go looking more into, but we're going to talk more about the rest. So we have the context, right? So you got some system prompts. Then you have some system tools. Then you have skills, MCP, etc., etc. So this is your context. Next, of course, the most self-explanatory is the model. And the models are pretty different, right? So inside of Claude Code here, we go /model, and you see we have some options here. We have the Opus 4.5, which is the biggest, most capable. Some might argue it's probably one of the quote unquote best. It probably is, but here we'll look at something real quick. LM Studio, I think it's LM Arena. And so this is one of the older, I guess, benchmarking websites, and they have a leaderboard here, and this is really based on preference from people voting on things, right? So you can see people come and vote on these things, but I think it gives you kind of a better idea than some of the benchmarks currently. So like you could go to, let's say, Gemini 3 Flash, and right here, LLM stats, and you go here, and then you can see here as well these various arenas and basically what people are running these different benchmarks. Or I think this organization, whoever runs these benchmarks on these models, and it gives it a particular score. And so here you can see Opus 4.5, the big dog of them all. Then you got Gemini 3 Pro, Gemini 5.2, and then you got Gemini 3 Flash here. So let's make this a little bit larger. And so you have, let's make this larger again. You have these models, and I think personal experience, Gemini 3 Flash is gonna come up. It's pretty underrated right now, but as you've seen in previous videos, we gave it some skills, and it does decently well when you give it some very directed guidance. And so you have these, and they're varying cost, right? So on this site as well, this is llm-stats.com. You can see Opus 4.5, 200K context window. Gemini 3 coming in with the 1 million context window, 1 million tokens. And again, I'm going to leave some of that up to you to go research. You can probably find videos earlier in this channel that's going to tell you a little bit more about this. But you can go ahead and see 1 million tokens. And then you have 400K on GBT 5.2. And so this is what we're talking about, the context window here. And then of course, these all have varying prices. So for the input, you're going to charge $5 per million on Opus, quite expensive, right? Whereas Gemini 3 Flash, if you give it very good prompting, you can go ahead and get 50 cents per million tokens, which is a drastic difference. And then you can see here, even on output for Opus 4.5, $25 per million. Then you got Gemini 3 Flash, $3 per million, right? So keep these things in mind as you're working with these tools. Very important when you're looking at, let's just back out here, the agentic key performance indicators, right? And so what you want to do is you want to increase the work handoff, right? So you want to increase the size of the things that you're doing, right? Longer runs, bigger plans. You want to decrease the attempts of one-shotting. Now, everyone always rags, oh, you want to one-shot an entire application, yada, yada, yada. This is the mindset you have to be in when you're working with these tools. You want to live a little bit in the future, right? Because people who are actively trying to do the future are creating it, right? So it tends to favor those people a little bit more. And so we want to hand off large tasks, and we want to go ahead and decrease the amount of times we have to reprompt for that task in order to complete it. We want to get it down to one attempt, right? And we want to increase the streak. So back to back, boom, create this thing, boom, it's a success. Create this other thing, boom, it's a success. Create another thing, boom, it's a success. You want to keep this streak up, right? Just like in gaming. I know you nerds out there. And then last but certainly not least, this one is very much the future. And some people may be against this, the craftsmen amongst us. And I really appreciate you guys, by the way. You guys are the ones who truly, I appreciate you, because you're going to be the ones who are building the things that are secure that I'm going to look at and I'm going to model against. And I really appreciate that. And so that's pretty much it, right? So we have that. We talked about context. We talked about the models. We showed you some of the models. We talk about prompts. And this kind of goes hand in hand with the context, right? The prompts do have an effect on the actual outcome. So we previously talked about skills. We can go ahead and look for these skills again. And all these skills are just long prompts, right, with references. So if I go and I attempt to cancel this, but my computer might be crashing, so it's not going to let me. We'll go ahead and bring up. And what I've gone ahead and done is I've output this system tools, but we can just look at a prompt really quickly, right? So in Gemini, this is how a prompt typically looks. So let's go ahead and get this a little bit larger. And so you can see here, we have create a plan, implement the feature using the specified markdown plan format, research the code, right? That's the description. And so inside of this longer TOML file, which is just a format, right? Don't make it scary. It's just a format. You have a prompt. And here you are executing the feature command. And then we're going to take some arguments, i.e., probably the user saying, hey, I want to create this very intricate application with these very specific details for this very specific type of person, right? They might just put that in there. That might be a feature request for something, or that might just be an entire project. Features, we call this a feature because we want to try and scope it down to a very specific thing. But I want you to just get the concept here that you can go ahead and make these prompts very specific to a task you want to achieve. So you look at here, we have variables, right? Some type of prompt, it's an argument. Then we have some instructions. Then we have some guidelines, right? Then we have some code-based structure, some things to focus on, right? The actual plan format. So what we can do is give these models a format we want it to output in. So you can see I have some metadata I wanted to show me, some descriptions, and so on and so forth, right? And so you can see here, this prompt is going to be in the context, right? So it's going to take up some type of space. And so we want to make sure we use as much information dense keywords as possible. So create, update, read, write, right? These are very information dense when it comes to computers. Bash, right? Anything that is effectively a keyword. And so then we move on to the final portion, and that's the tools. And so, right, we have this here. We talked about it. Do some stuff. This is our prompt, right? ... And up here, I already put these here, tools, but you can also add additional tools as well. And these come in the form of skills. These come in the form of agent prompts. These come in the form of commands. And all they are just definitions to be used by the model. So don't make them scary. If you're familiar with any programming, let's just open up a simple file here. Let's go new text file, and we'll just make a simple Python, right? So if you're familiar with Python, you have def, and then you have some function, and then you have some parameters, and then it's going to do stuff here, right? So just think of this, right? Param A, let's do that. Param B, right? And we're going to take param A and param B. So we'll just say param A plus param B, right? And we'll say like return or something. This is all you need to think of a tool, but with just some descriptions in it, right? And so we can go and look at some of the examples. Let's just go to, let's say LLM tool call examples. Let's say LangChain, because I'm pretty sure LangChain has a ton. And so we could probably go here to this website and we can look at tool calling, and we can probably find some tools here. And I just want you to just, again, all the tool is just a function right here, a tool definition. So in LangChain, they have this nice little syntactic sugar, a little flavoring over your function here. And you have this description and you have arguments. And so the model is going to read this. It's going to have more context of what this is supposed to do. And when you go ahead and you call a tool, so I say, hey, Claude, get me a cheeseburger from McDonald's, right? So I might have a function def get cheeseburger burger, right? And so what it's going to do is when I say this, it's going to, if I have this tool in the context, it's going to say, okay, I have this function called get cheeseburger. It takes a shop and location. And what it's going to attempt to do is call that. So it'll say, okay, cool, calling tool ... something like this. And then it'll go ahead and return get cheeseburger, McDonald's, Washington. Something like that, right? That's all it's going to do. And then maybe it has some execution environment like Claude Code does inside of my terminal here. And it's going to go ahead and use this tool definition to go ahead and actually get whatever results that this function is going to give us. And so I really wanted to just go over that briefly. If you stay this long, we're just going to quickly go over the system tools inside of Claude that you get. And so what you can do really nicely with Claude is let's go ahead and run it again, Claude. Once you have it open, we can go ahead and just give it a very simple prompt. We say, what are the system tools in the context? And so we're going to run Gemini as well. And then we're going to run Droid. And we're going to run the same thing on all of these, just so you can get an idea of what the tools that they're going to provide you baseline, if these will open up. So I'm going to say, what are the system tools in the context? Looks like we're crashing out here, which is fine. That's cool. Crash outs. So you can see here, read, write, edit, file operations, glob, fast file patterns. So it has these very specific tools. Then you could say, can you output the parameters for them, right? And so we'll do the same thing here with Gemini. We'll say, what are the system tools in the context? Claude. And so you can see here, Claude gives us all the same thing, right? They have this new task thing where now it's multi-step task. Instead of just the to-dos, we have multi-step tasks that it's going to store somewhere, so you could have more than one Claude working on it. We look here at Gemini, right? Similar thing. Oh, actually, it just read my file here, which is not very helpful. See, Gemini, come on, Gemini. Come on, Gemini Flash, help a brother out. And then finally, we have Droid, and this model on Droid is their GLM 4.7, and so it's going to show you as well what tools it has, and then it even shows you what parameters it takes, right? So just a prompt inside of a task, a prompt is a string, and I think this is actually reading from the file as well, and so that's not very helpful. So you see here, it just did what I tried to do, and it looked for the tools, and so you can go ahead and use these on your own projects and as you're going along. But that's pretty much going to be it. That's going to wrap it up with the basics and the fundamentals of working with these LLMs and these different harnesses. Hopefully you learned something today. And I just, again, if you're new, or even if you are advanced, I really encourage you just to get out there and just go build something. It's your boy B Phil. I'm out. Peace.